We're Trackside with Unique Cars magazine to wind back the clock 30 years and relive the glory days of the testosterone-injected muscle car. As they test drive 5 of the best.
Car number 1 is the Falcon XY GT, a 1972 classic with the shaker thrusting up through the bonnet. From the same year is the 360 horsepower Charger, Chrysler's Aussie muscle car, a modern classic. Number 3 is a 68 Mustang 302, rebuilt by Raven Motors. Next up is the mighty 270 horsepower Torana XU1. And finally, a 68 Camaro with 380 horsepower under the hood. They're all classed as NC. To be part of this elite group, each qualifying make and model had to have raced in Australia between 1965 and 1972.
Now, every one of these cars have been modified using modern gear, but to original specification, and all of them really do capture the very essence of muscle cars in their heyday.
In their heyday, these cars blitzed races, such as Bathurst, driven by the likes of Jim Richards. So it's interesting that the editors of Unique Cars have invited Jim's son Stephen, a V8 supercar champ, who's getting into these cars for the very first time today. So after 32 years, how does the XY stack up?
Handling-wise, it is fantastic. I mean, a lot of what you do when you come out of the corner is just balancing on the throttle. Power is just sensational. Yeah, lots of fun. They're hard like a V8 supercar, but they don't have that finger-like rigidity that when you, and a lot of that's to do with the tyre as well.
Rumours true your old man used to have one of these?
He did. He raced one in the early 70s, and then more recently, about probably 10 years ago now, he had one in his garage at home, an orange one. He's a bit of a fan of the old Chargers.
But is Stephen also a fan?
For around here, the gearing of the car is really good. Yep. $6,000 at the end of the straight. Steering is good. The other car tended to, when you turn in, it'd go and oversteer fairly quickly, whereas this is really nice. I don't think much your driving position though.
Steering wheel's too far away?
Too far away.
And the verdict on the Mustang.
But listen to that sound. That is just fantastic. Now that's a serious car. It feels like a race car. The other cars in comparison really feel more road car-ish, done up to a race car. Its feedback from the front of the car to the back of the car is very good, so when you make a change in the steering, the car reacts to it. It doesn't sort of have a moment of sloppiness.
And Stephen makes an interesting comparison with the XU1.
It obviously doesn't have the grip and the power, but relatively to the way you drive it very similarly to the V8 on the slick tyres and all that sort of thing, and you can understand why in that day they were such a fantastic little car.
And the Camaro?
Power steering, which is a bit scary because it's old style power steering.
Now, rev for rev, the NC class cars go as fast as the new ones. It's just the brakes and the steering that are kind of like 40 years old.
Some of the guys were telling me at Bathurst they reach 170 odd mile an hour, which is only sort of 10 or so mile an hour slower than what the V8s do. The problem is though, they've only got such small brakes to stop it at the end. To be honest, I don't know if many of our guys could drive these for 1,000 Ks because they'd wear them out and fire them off the road somewhere and end up in the sand.
From supercars to the superseded, how did these 30-year-old beasts compare?
5 totally different cars, all with their own characters. Personal favourites, I suppose, the XU1 is fantastic. The Mustang and the Camaro would probably be, I reckon, have to be good for 235 kilometres an hour, which is bloody fast. But they're going pretty quick at the end. I mean, it's not unlike the feeling of like driving one of our V8 Holden Commodores.
You can see Unique Cars' full report on this remarkable day on the World Wide Web.
And if you'd like more information on historic touring cars, make sure you go to our website at CarPoints.
Okay guys, that's it, thanks.
It's not often you see a factory car in a serious performance DVD, but with BMW one of the few companies offering factory tuner kits, we decided to take a look at the 05 version of the John Cooper Works kit for the Mini. We headed straight for the BMW factory workshop in Melbourne, where all the goodies are kept, and hooked up with mechanic David Ortolan to take us through the conversion. With the kit laid out, we were surprised how easy this little car was to work on. Off with the rocker cover, intercooler, fuel rail, airbox, plenum chamber, supercharger and cylinder head.
Disassembly? Yeah, it's much better than the previous kit. You get the new airbox, the fuel injectors and a slightly more modified supercharger. We've got a full stainless steel exhaust, modified cylinder head there, which has been ported. Just makes it a lot torquier, and there is, I think it was about another 15 to 20% power increase over the last kit.
On with the modified cylinder head, revised supercharger, larger injectors, fuel rail, intercooler and airbox, new unrestricted exhaust with JCW chrome tips, and a nice set of 18s.
Time to turn her over, eh? Time to take her out on the road and give it a run.
We put the 05 JCW through its paces at our Calder Park test, and straight out of the box the car handled and performed well. Mike Sinclair, editor of Unique Cars magazine, found that the Mini had plenty of power, with the new tyres on the 18 spinning up all too often.
There's definitely a lot more torque there, and I think even with the 18-inch wheels, maybe I've put fairly high pressures in the front of this for the circuits, so maybe we drop the pressure down a bit, we get a bit more traction too.
For our comparison, Andrew Jackson and Terry Slocum brought along their 02 model Aussie Cozzy JCWs. Andrew's British Racing Green Mini was kitted with full white line suspension, racing 18s and semi-slicks, while Terry's few mods gave us the previous generation's kit to more easily compare. Here's how the Minis stack up. With superchargers screaming away in all cars, the semi-slicks and white line suspension really helped the Aussie Cozzy car get off the line and hold the 05 at bay. Little did they realise that we had a surprise for these new Minis.
No, this car's got such a huge amount of power. Yeah, you've got to be so gentle getting the power on, otherwise it just wants to smoke the tyres.
Norman Gower's 1964 model Morris 850 is a very special car. A beautifully turned out club racer, Norman has something a little unexpected under the hood. Norman slotted in a Honda B16A double overhead cam VTEC.
We had a few different criteria. One was it had to be light, so we were preferring an all aluminium engine. The second one was that the gearbox had to be in line with the crankshaft.
Not as difficult a conversion as you might expect, Norman did most of the work himself, adding all sorts of trick little mods to gain speed.
We have 160 or so horsepower in a car that only weighs 600 kilos, so it's very light.
Engine modifications are limited to custom extractors, Bosch ignition system, Wolf 3D engine management system, and a very cool Ram air system enclosed in a Perspex box to avoid engine heat.
Mini fundamentals have always been good. That's why they've always been a favourite with race car drivers. They handle well, the suspension is pretty good right out from the beginning.
Suspension and braking include motorcycle coilovers and brakes in the rear and Chimera discs with Commodore calipers in the front. Checking the specs of the VTEC Mini, you can see that the numbers really work.
I love the new BMW Minis. I think they've captured all the hallmarks of what makes a Mini. All the key features are there. It's cute, It's aggressive at the same time. It's a performance-orientated car right out of the box. It handles wonderfully. To me, I'd love one.
He may love the new Mini, but Norman's VTEC Mini was very fond of absolutely smoking the new one at Calder. Although when pro drivers Warren Luff and Paul Dumbrell got in, the battle was on. Swapping drivers, we put Warren into the VTEC, but he seemed to think it was an auto. Luckily, we had Norman to help out with a few pointers.
Now listen, this is the gear stick. It's for changing gear.
I didn't have any throttle on though. I was like, oh, nice.
I was waiting to catch the pistons as they came out the roof. Yeah.
It's just a good engine, and obviously in this package, and with the light and flywheel, it just wants to rev so quickly. It sounds really impressive.
Old or new, these cars are a hell of a lot of fun to drive, and a different approach for import fans. The VTEC is a cheap way to get into serious performance easily, and yes, street legal is no problem. There's no doubting that BMW are on the right track with factory tuning gear, and we're all for it. But Norman Gowers has shown us how much fun you can have with change from 15 grand.
It's getting less and less common for the high-end show cars to be regular drivers. So when we met Brian and Lainey Griffiths at MotorX, we were very excited to not only find a beautiful Ford 32 Cabriolet, but also that it's not shy of the tarmac.
The car's initial start was it was to be a driver. It was set up, that's why the turbo 700 4-speed and the diff ratio, all this stuff that I was looking for was to be a driver.
It's difficult to miss the beautiful yellow and gold 32, and it has provoked plenty of interest since the build was finished in November 04.
The reason for the colour choices was that I felt that if I was going to go to this much trouble and expense with the car, then I wasn't going to have a white car that no one could see coming. So I actually stood on a road in a local area to us. It was 2 k's long, and looked for cars coming towards me and sort of said, now, yeah, I can see that car coming, it's a red one, and I can see that one, that's a yellow one. You couldn't see a black or a dark blue. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to the trouble, I want a yellow car.
But beauty is far more than skin deep with this rod. The car has been crafted from the ground up with incredible care and detail. And when Brian approached Paul Bennett for the build, he went straight to one of the best in the business.
When he first came to me, he said, I want a car that I'm going to tow my boat with, which I found quite unique. I thought, this is the bloke that he's definitely going to drive it, and I knew he was going to use it, so I said, rightio, we're going to sit down, put the tow hitch on it. He's got the tow hitch so he can tow his boat. I told him all along, by the time this car is finished, he will never tow a boat with this car. However, he had the option to do so.
And as a driven rod, Paul developed a thoroughly modern vehicle.
When a bloke gets serious and says, mate, I'm going to use this car, it ends up in a situation where you say, listen, air conditioning, cruise control, power windows, all these things are no longer an option. They're a mandatory necessity. You wouldn't buy a Hyundai now without them. So in a car like this, it makes common sense, you know what I mean? It's something that it has to be user-friendly when he gets in and he does make this trip, you know?
But with that brought most of the difficulties with the custom build.
Space, 32 Ford, early hot rods, particularly in a cabriolet version, particularly his Peter Osborne's design. The interior leaves a very cramped format. To get the amount of componentry into the physical shape of the car is always a challenge, particularly when this is high-tech that carries a lot of electronic componentry.
I sourced the parts in the States from mainly in California. We were based in LA, and I actually went. The first time I went to the States, I went on a drag racing tour with a group of 75 Australians, and we had a ball. And from there I started to source parts. One of the main people I got most of my parts from was from Daigle's in Orange County, just out of LA. I found him to be very good, and he did an excellent job for us, and I was able to get parts back. The front end is a Krugel, and that's again just the back of LA, and I brought most of that back. What was sourced elsewhere I brought through LA, either brought it back myself or had it shipped back.
But this is not just a get the parts and bang it together build.
We've made modifications to the body. I've added a 75mm to the length of the front end of the car. That was necessary to fit the LT1 small block. We ran out of room between the radiator and the water pump area.
Every part of the rod has been manufactured around Brian's specs.
It's a cruiser. I use the car to cruise up and down the road and drive it and quite enjoy it.
And the result is an incredible modern rod that is exactly what Brian set out to build.
Motorsport wouldn't be motorsport without a bit of biffo, and in 15 years Targa's seen plenty. Here's a selection of the greatest hits. Day 3 of competition, the shortest of the event. Crews travel south down the Huon Valley on a return loop to Hobart. 8 stages with a total competitive distance of 59 kilometres. The day begins on Hobart's historic waterfront.
This is a great day. We circle to Hobart and come back to Hobart. And we're at a stage of the event that drivers are now looking for seconds. Every second counts. We're going to watch from now on our tyre usage. Very important. This is not a sprint rally, it's an endurance rally. Sunshine, glistening water, this is great.
Howden is the first of the day's time-critical stages. If the rally-bred rice burners were hoping to see a chink in the Porsche armour, they're sorely disappointed. Richards again quickest, ahead of Queenslander Tony Quinn and another of Stuttgart's finest. Steve Glennie can only manage 8th. It's been a long night for the defending champs, Jason White swapping his driving suit for overalls as a new clutch is fitted to the Lamborghini. The work seems to have paid off, but Gallardo's times are much more competitive over the morning stages. It's been a good morning for second place Steve Glennie, picking up 2 seconds on Richards to trail by just 10 at the lunch stop.
Hopefully we haven't lost too much today and we can just keep in touch, then that's the aim. Tyres are okay, yeah, no, they're hanging in there. The first couple of days they tend to sort of lose a bit more than the last few, so hopefully they'll hang in there.
If Glennie was worried about tyre wear, he didn't show it, pushing on hard at every stage, sometimes too hard. Former bike racer Daryl Beattie is having a good morning, getting the feel for his car and trying to improve on his 15th place.
Today I've sort of gone about a bit survival mode, some funny little sections I think you can screw up on and not really make a lot of time or lose a lot of time. So it's been just a bit of a cautious day to get through and then think about the 2 heading home. But it's been a good morning.
Beattie finding out just how easy it is to fall off the road on the very next stage after lunch, Cygnet.
Into left 4, immediate left 2.5.
That's it.
That's it.
We just obviously overcooked the turn. I felt like we were okay, and then obviously it was my notes that said it did tighten, and just got in there a little too hot and pushed it. We slid it along the grass for a while. I actually thought we were going to pull it off, and then just rolled down the embankment. Well, it didn't roll, but slid down the embankment. Very light impact, and if they were all that smooth, it'd be all right.
After feeling his way over the first couple of days, Ray Vandersea, the Skelter G-Force, a car that he built himself, signals his arrival on Ridgeway Park, the final stage of the day. The Skelter takes the stage win and holds 4th place overall. 2 seconds behind Richards for the day, Warwick Rooklyn has consolidated 3rd place and still has a real chance to mount a challenge over the final stages.
50. Left 5.
We made changes. We're all starting to work together well. And we've got a long way to go in that as a team, and it takes a while so that everyone get to understand each other. I'm starting to understand the car better now, and I think it's, I'm surprised, very happily surprised.
Steve Glennie dropped 12 seconds in the afternoon stages, suspension problems slowing his progress.
This morning was good. We had a good run. Then after lunch, for some reason, the suspension just seized up and we lost all the friction, all the movement in it. So lost a bit of time this afternoon, but I think we're not too far behind.
22 seconds is the gap to Jim Richards, not quite enough according to the 7-time champion.
A good day, yes. No, we had a good run. We picked up a little time here and there, so no, it was good. We just do the same as we've been doing. We go as fast as we can on the stages, whether it's wet, whether it's dry. Another 2 days to go, see what happens.
And this is it. This is the famous Mother Road. This is Route 66. This is one of the pieces that still lives. And if you want to go over the American West in the absolute best way possible, stay off those interstates. Because you're never going to see Roy's. And going right from Roy's, right down Route 66 to the Roadrunner restaurant. And the distance from Roadrunner restaurant to Roy's is 9.5 miles. And that's what we're running today. And this is what we're running it in. 500 horsepower, supercharged, a modern muscle car. Ford's latest Shelby Mustang, the best of the bunch. And now, it's time to get some of those famous kicks on Route 66. And the time we're shooting for is hopefully under 4 minutes. Of course, we need somebody to flag us off, and we're sorting that out right now. This happens to be one of those great events where rule number 1 is basically there are no rules. And rule number 2, you should always take a look at rule number 1. We're coming up on showtime. Down the road. Good to see Shelby and Ford back together again. Roadrunner 2 miles out.
are few cars more important to Ford Australia's racing history than the two cars you see here. The Falcon XA GT-HO and the Falcon XC Cobra GT race car both have had major roles transforming touring car racing in this country, and when we were given the chance to run these cars side by side, it was an incredible opportunity. On Sunday, June the 25th, 1972, the Sun Herald ran a front page article deeming the new Phase 4 GT-HO Falcon too fast to be driven on the road.
1972 XA GT-HO Phase 4 prototype race car. Ford manufactured 3. There was quite a lot of hype, probably the most hype that's ever been done in motor racing history when this car was rumoured to be released. It was a lot of people think that it's probably the most significant vehicle that Ford have ever produced, because this vehicle actually changed the face of motorsport forever.
Ford basically denied their existence, and the 4 Phase 4s built were pushed out the back door.
Actually sat at McLeod Ford and didn't do anything for quite a number of years, and then it's been in the hands of collectors ever since. And in essence, it's the only factory race car that's virtually been in a time capsule. I mean, the car has 4,000 miles on it, and as you can see, they had to treat it gently today. It still has the original tyres on it. The sticker's still on the spare, and it's a piece of, as Mr. Luff said, a piece of motoring art.
When this Falcon rolled onto Oran Park, it was the first time the car had driven the track since John Goss and Fred Gibson had tested it there in the 70s. Even though many of the parts for these Phase 4s became available through the RPO 83 or Regular Production Option program, there is something very special about this car.
There's a lot of the leftover parts from when they ordered. They ordered like 200 or 300 parts to build these. So the exhaust extractors and 780 Holley carburetors, Detroit locker diffs, a lot of those items found their way into the RPO 83 or into other vehicles too.
The fully balanced and blueprinted 400 horsepower motor was the last of an era. A factory-made race engine available from your local dealer.
But I mean, this particular car too, because it is a works race car, has a cam, they're only going to start once. So it lacks a little bit downstairs, but it goes forever.
$6,000 revs.
Even though the car is just too rare to drive hard, it was great to see it out on the racetrack again. While Paul enjoyed a few laps, Ian couldn't wait to get in the car.
Well, Paul, what can I say? I am absolutely stoked, fairly emotional. What can I say? A genuine Phase 4 Falcon.
One of 4.
And you're entrusting me to drive this car, which I'm privileged, because I remember being at the mountain when watching Moffat race around that in the Phase 3, and being a Phase 4, only 3 of them left. Have you got any instructions for me?
Drive it like you love it, not like you style it.
How many people have driven this car?
Besides the owners, I mean, you're only the third person to drive it since I've owned it. So.
It's got a very big cam in it, it's very lumpy, and it seems like it's got a very tall diff ratio in it.
It's a 3-to-1 diff.
3-to-1 diff, so she would have been very fast at Mount Panorama, so she would have been pulling big speed. What an amazing motor car. We can see how the technology has changed so much over the years to what we have as current V8 supercars. This in its era, had it made the tracks, still incredibly fast, a reputed 160 mile an hour, so hanging on to this skinny wheel going down Conrod Straight, I tell you what, you wouldn't be falling asleep with driver fatigue, let me tell you. But an amazing car, Paul. I only gave it a little bit of a squirt. We just brought the revs up a little bit. You could feel yourself pushing back in the seat. It's like a big lounge chair. The racing seats today with the wraparound sides, with the neck devices and all those safety features and so forth. We look around here and it's incredibly agricultural, and it's amazing when you look at people like the Alan Moffats and the Freddie Gibsons, the Johnny Gosses, all those famous people that were driving around or sliding around in these cars because they're running on pizza cutters
with little wheels with treaded racing tyres. I could not imagine what it would be like over the top of the mountain at Bathurst in one of these things here. All I reckon is you need the St Christopher medal polished on the dashboard, because let me tell you, you'd be hanging on enjoying one hell of a wild ride in a GT Phase 4 Falcon. Unbelievable. I'm just completely blown out. Hey, Paul, thanks heaps, mate. We've made the history books, and I've got that on my shopping list to say I've driven a piece of art. Wonderful.
Warren was the next to drive, interestingly, just after Bathurst.
It's amazing to sort of, after being in a modern V8 supercar only a few days ago, to sort of hop in this, I suppose, which is really sort of the 70s version to what is a V8 supercar. It makes you appreciate what those guys went through back then, the way they used to sort of muscle these things around. Well, I suppose these really signal the end of the era of where you could almost literally drive your car to Bathurst and race it there.
They used to pick them up from the Ford Motor Company and drive them up there to run them in. I know Bill Brown with his Phase 3. I mean, he went down to Ford and picked it up, drove it straight to the track.
It's a really different experience. It's so unbelievable to be given the opportunity to drive something that really is a piece of Australian motoring history, and really I suppose it's what reset the record books and changed things for what is our modern V8 supercars.
In 1977, the famous 1-2 finish by the XC Falcons at Bathurst firmly cemented their place in the history books. It's great to see this original Cobra road car turned into a replica of what is the most famous Ford to win at the mountain. Almost 30 years on, the XC remains one of the toughest cars ever to roll off an Australian production line.
It was a 351 automatic, power steer, air conditioning, electric windows, just a Falcon Cobra road car.
But Chester wasn't responsible for the build.
The credit goes to the original owner, the first owner of the vehicle. He pretty much built the car to look like this since January 1979. Basically all I've done is a bit of upkeep, a little bit of an upgrade with the brakes and just a bit of cleaning up and just making it look as best as I possibly can. Apparently the Simmons wheels were even fitted to the vehicle before it left the dealership. So it rolled out of the Ford dealership with the Simmons wheels on it, put the roll cage in. He also put the Tremec 5-speed. He had the motor done. The motor was sent away to Mick Webb in Melbourne. The motor's been redone there. So yeah, it's just a good honest, low kilometre car. It's only got 58,000 Ks, and it's a real pleasure to drive and own.
We wanted to know how Chester thought it performed.
It's a little bit of fun with the brakes, I think. It's still somewhat older technology, even though I've sort of upgraded the calipers. We've gone the cross-drilled and slotted disc rotors, and gone like a competition race pad. But yeah, it's still a big old heavy car and handles like one and brakes like one, unfortunately.
You could really see how the change from production racer to production-based race car improved the XC. Next up, Warren got his first ever drive of a GT Cobra.
Look, it's a fantastic piece of history. It really is a iconic car of the days gone by of Bathurst, and just driving it out there, you can just imagine what it must have been like, sort of punting it around Bathurst. I can't even imagine what it must have been like in terms of the braking and all that sort of stuff. Like when we complain about bad brakes in our cars, that'd still be classified as a fantastic brake pedal in one of these. Like those guys back in that era were true heroes. They used to muscle these things around, and look, it's great to be given the chance to drive something that's a great part of history.
Ian summed up the differences between the two cars.
Well, you can actually see the development from the earlier model car to this car, just in the suspension, the handling, the whole steering aspect of it. Yeah, a lot more responsive, nowhere near the body roll because of the suspension mods in the car, but a great car to drive, and I'm just still overwhelmed about this, to be able to drive two vehicles out of the Ford Motor Company's racing stable.
It was great to see these incredibly rare and beautifully kept examples of Australian motor racing history back on the track where they were designed to be. They are cars that will live in the hearts of Ford fans for a long time.
Ferruccio Lamborghini founded Automobili Lamborghini in 1963 with one aim: to build the world's best supercar. Did he achieve his goal? Well, we certainly think so. Lamborghini first brought us the legendary Miura back in the 60s, which in its day was the world's fastest production supercar, as well as being the very first mid-mounted V12 road-going car. In the late 70s, Lamborghini gave us the Countach. It was bigger, better and faster than the Miura. Then in the early 90s, it evolved into the Diablo. It was pure Lamborghini, low, wide and extremely fast, with a top speed of 325 kilometres an hour. The current model on offer from the Lambo stables is the Murcielago, with a hand-built 6.2 litre V12 mid-mounted engine, producing a whopping 580 brake horsepower and 650 newton metres of torque, delivering it to the road through permanent four-wheel drive via a viscous traction system. Performance figures just don't do justice to this car, even though it can do 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds, cover the quarter mile in 12 seconds, and is capable of speeds in excess of 320 kilometres an hour. We caught up with Scott Shearman down at Avalon Airfield to see how good the Lambo really is.
Well, Lamborghini Murcielago, probably the most outrageous car on the market today. 426 kilowatts, over 500 horsepower, 580 in fact, four-wheel drive, and simply the most awesome vehicle. Driving this car is something to behold. The click-clack through the gears of the virtually solid billet gearbox mechanism. That kind of speed so easily.
Hello, I'm Barbara Kelly and I am Mrs. Miss Clazique. This is my car. Bill Dixon, who had bought it from Jimmy Barnes, but we have kept the engine and the engine work that he did as all original, and he still has stamped on the engine bay, JB 1962 350.
You move!
Joe, you do your thing until we ride in the right place. Come on, Joe, you do your thing until we ride in the right place. Come on, Joe, you do your thing until we ride in the right place.
Here's Kim. Kim's the proud owner of the new Ford Anglia. With 5 angry ponies under the hood, he's sure to impress the ladies. Wow, look at her go. Slow down, Kim. There's plenty of time to get there. Kim Holt's SR20 engined 1959 Ford Anglia isn't shy about laying rubber. A fiery mix of short wheelbase and plenty of horsepower, it's an unusual weapon that really works. We first met Kim at the Queensland Jamboree, where he showed up to drag his Anglia for the first time, and we learned it was more than just a pretty paint job.
I had to show the Rotary guys what it's all about, SR20's rule.
The rebuild took Kim over a year, and it wasn't an easy conversion. The SR20 turbo engine is built by SAS Dynatune, with a little headwork, cams with adjustable cam wheels, GT3540 hybrid turbo, and front mount intercooler, all helping to achieve a nice 372 horsepower at the wheels. The detail on this car is amazing, with custom switchgear and flame interior, and not to be missed, high-tech custom door locks. The Anglia not only proved to be a crowd favourite, it was no slouch on the track, running a 12.4 on Kim's first few passes with a 60-foot time of 1.6, running to 90.7 miles per hour. We asked Kim down to our Oran Park test day, and he was more than happy to show a few more expensive machines what it could do.
Japanese pop-out cars. Really, I just blow them off, I believe. The Ford, in the other hand, I think I might bow down to the Ford due to the fact that good Aussie grunt, and that's the same colour car. We've got the orange and orange. Then again, the Flames might have it over him, I think.
I think we might do the flame job on this. I think it'll look good.
The Typhoon was up first, but Kim had no problem taking the wind out of the 4-litre straight 6 turbo. We soon found out why Ford had to recall the Typhoon. It was getting blown away by something they built in '59. The Anglia was on a mission and ready to smoke the S2000 turbo that had been the car to beat all day. Our S2000 demanded a rematch, and with Kim a little heavy on the throttle and the S2000 finding second this time, the Anglia was left back in the 50s. Time to line up against the Soarer. Kim easily got the run on the Toyota after a great start, so he looked for some bigger fish to fry.
Definitely wouldn't mind a run against the Lamborghini.
And a $600,000 price tag didn't deter him.
He's not scaring you, is he? No, but I need to make a convincing win.
Unfortunately, Kim saw the same view that many will see of the Italian stallion, which was no disgrace. And with the Lambo having brakes, it looked even further at the finish line. We were interested to see how the Anglia would turn, so we decided to put it through the slalom course. But Kim didn't share the faith.
Little bit scary. As we said once before, it's a little bit top heavy.
When we asked for a handling report, Kim didn't pull any punches.
Hand was like a bucket of water, actually.
So we threw pro driver Rick Shaw in to get his thoughts.
It seems like getting into an open wheeler or a Formula One car. It's got the Formula One pedals and almost a Formula One driving position, and it's laid out like a proper race car. It's quite intriguing, actually. We'll have to be very interesting to see how it drives. Well, I hit the little red button on the gear knob, which must be the ejector seat, and the door flew open on me, so lucky I didn't have the parachute on. I would have gone with it.
Putting it all together, we sent Kim onto Oran Park's short track for a circuit test, but the custom door locks were starting to show their drag heritage. But don't think Kim wasn't trying. When Rick's RX-8 overtook the Anglia in the last corner, it was on for young and old, with the Anglia easily dispatching the rotor down the straight. But Rick's not known for backing off either, and the RX-8 late braked and he was gone. With Woz and Dave going hard in the budget battle, it was back on, with both drivers trying hard.
Well, Warren's clearly got problems of his own there. The driver's door's decided to come undone again. I think he must be holding it closed.
Look, probably its biggest letdown would be its brakes. After about 2 laps, the brakes were going very long, and the smell was quite sort of obvious at the end there. But a good little fun thing to try. Very, very nervous, but you're always going to get that in a car that's so short and also so narrow. Obviously, engine-wise, it's got plenty of horsepower, and he was saying he's got another engine coming with another like 250 odd horsepower. So I'm glad I drove it now, because I think with 600 horsepower, yeah, I think it'd be a bit too scary to drive.
He's quick. He's damn quick. Quicker than you. Quicker than me. Quicker than you. Well and truly.
It's great to see cars that are built with passion, and there's no doubt Kim Holt's Anglia has it in spades. Modern power in a classic shape is not always easy, but Kim's shown it can be done well.
Come a long way since 1960.
Coburg, Melbourne. Fine November day, and a champion racing car is being readied for another race. It's the Norm Beachy Holden Monaro GTS 350. The big brutal machine has run 6 events, counting towards the Australian Touring Car Championship. In 2 days, it will race the last at Symonds Plains in Tasmania. A grueling, dramatic quest for honours over 5 states.
You right, Louis?
To Beachy and his crew, it hardly seems possible that the last race is looming. Soon there'll be rest from the endless pressures of competition. Relief from the all-night workshop sessions, the setbacks, the heartbreaks. 9 months of it. Readying the Monaro for race 7 is an absorbing task. The first event of the season seems so distant.
In round 1 of the Australian Touring Car Championship, and Mustang driver Alan Moffat has taken the lead. Right on his tail, the defending title holder Ian Gagan, but he's going to need plenty of skill and speed to down Moffat. Look at him go! And there's Norm Beechey in his Holden Monaro. He's got past both Bob Jane and Gagan as though they were standing still. And he's after Moffat, the leader. The Monaro's unbelievably fast. Moffat had better watch out. And now he's on his tail. Look at Beechey pressuring the Mustang. The Monaro's winning hands down in the power department, and the Mustang's got an advantage under brakes, and Moffat's clinging to his lead. This is a fantastic race for Beechey's new car, a homemade car, stirring up an expensive factory special. Back at the Rucken, it's a big battle between the Porsches of Jim McEwen and Brian Foley. This is nearly as good as the dice for the lead. There's Moffat coming up to lap Bob Jane, and Beechey's missing. Word from the pits is that he's punctured a tyre after biffing a slower car. That's bad luck. McEwen now in command, and there's Jane pulling into the pits. With Beechey and Jane held up, nothing can stop Moffat, and he's on his way to a round 1 win.
Memories of that first round reflect disappointment and annoyance. After being measurably faster than the opposition, a collision and subsequent tyre failure lead to a lowly placing. But Norm Beechey, veteran campaigner of Australian motorsport, doesn't dwell on mishap. To Beechey, motorsport is a mixture of good and bad, of depression and elation. The kind of elation that comes with victory.
And they're out. It's round 2 of the Australian Touring Car Championship. It's a great start. Gagan grabbed the lead, but look at Beechey. He's come through the second spot in only a few yards. There they go, up the hill, and Beechey's gone through to the lead. He's got a tremendous power advantage over the other cars. Gagan is second, then Moffat, then Jane. Up on the top of the mountain now. Still the same order, Beechey, Gagan, Moffat and Jane. Down through the S's, and Beechey still in command. Monaro's sounding glorious, and there they are. Gagan's leading. Gagan leading from Moffat, and there's Beechey back in third behind Moffat. First time past the pits, Gagan from Moffat. A tremendous duel shaping up here. Oh, another surprise, Moffat's missing. Word from the pits that the Mustang's blown some plugs and he might be out. That puts Beechey back into second, but he's not getting it easy. Bob Jane's pushing him pretty hard, giving him no peace at all. Gagan still well out in front. He'll take some catching. Beechey and Jane have... Oh, Jane spun the Mustang and for an elbow. Oh, that's bad. But that takes the pressure off Beechey. And now he's after Gagan. And it looks as though the Mustang's slowing. It's not handling too well. Look at Beechey through the S's. Much faster. 2 laps to go, and Beechey's right on his tail. It looks as though he's about to take the lead right here in front of us. Yes, there he goes. Norm Beechey's taken the lead, and Gagan's definitely slowing. Beechey's got it sewn up. Here they are at the S's. Look at the march of Beechey's going away to win easily. Last time into Murray's, and here comes Beechey to get the checkered flag. A tremendous win for Norm Beechey. Well, if he can keep that up, he'll inject some real life into the championship. Great driver, great car, good preparation. That's the sort of combination you need to win top motor races.
Lotus founder Colin Chapman built his first car, the Mark I, in 1948, while still an engineering student at London University. Based on a 1928 Austin 7 chassis, the Mark I was built to compete in the 750 Motor Club trials. The Mark VI, a super-light club racer, was the first car produced in large enough quantities to qualify Lotus as a real car manufacturer. Built on a Lotus-designed space frame chassis with its aluminum body, The whole car weighed in at only 950 pounds. The Lotus road car legend is born with the Lotus 7. Conceived as a no-frills, low-cost, simple sports car that delivered staggering performance, the Lotus 7 was sold mainly as a kit car to enthusiasts. As a descendant of the Mark 9, the Lotus 11 was made on an all-new chassis made from thinner gauge steel tubing. It was an immediate hit and won its class at Le Mans. In fact, Lotus cars recorded an astounding 150 wins in 1956. The following year, the Lotus 11 Series 2 again won both its classes at Le Mans, in addition to the prestigious Index of Performance. The Lotus Elite astounded the motoring world, using aeronautical production standards and designs. The Elite featured a glass fiber reinforced plastic monocoque chassis and a stunning aerodynamically shaped frame with four-wheel independent suspension, disc brakes and an overhead cam engine. Chapman shocked the racing world in 1962 when he introduced the Lotus 23, initially banned from participating at Le Mans because it was thought to have had an unfair advantage over the competition. First raced by Jim Clark at the Nürburgring 1000 kilometre, it blew away the bigger engines of Porsche and Ferrari by lapping up to 30-second leads before the exhaust failed, causing Clark to be overcome by exhaust fumes and crash. Hollywood would have been proud of the 25's novel-like beginnings, sketched in rough outline on a restaurant napkin. The 25 was the first Formula One race car with a monocoque chassis. It was lighter and stiffer and had better handling and performance than any other Formula One car at the time. The Lotus 25 debuted in 1962 and was immediately successful, with Clark nearly winning the Drivers' Championship, losing to Graham Hill in the last race due to an oil leak. But Clark dominated in '63, winning the Drivers' Championship with 7 victories in 10 races. The Type 33, the next evolution of the 25, provided Clark with his second championship in 1965. A replacement of the highly successful but difficult to build Elite, the Elan was less complex in design, but offered the high-end road handling of a sports car with its steel backbone chassis. The Elan was extremely successful, selling more than 12,000 cars over its 12-year lifespan. Lotus startled the Indy world with the Lotus 29, the first rear-engine race car to run at Indy. The impact was clear. In the following seasons, everyone would adopt rear-engine race cars. The Lotus 49 was the first race car to have a Cosworth DFV engine. The new power plant was purpose-built for Formula One, and the 49 was installed as a fully stressed member in chassis. That is, the engine is part of the chassis, not bolted into it. Jim Clark went on to win the British Grand Prix in 1967. Graham Hill won the Drivers' Championship in his Lotus 49 in 1968. Giving Lotus the championship in 3 years out of 6. The Europa was a mid-engine car that used the same type of backbone chassis and composite body as the Elan and was powered by a Renault engine. The Europa was meant to be an extremely lightweight car and a spiritual successor to the Lotus 7. The Renault engine offered a more economical alternative to the Lotus twin-cam engine in the Elan. Later versions eventually did use the twin-cam engine and returned a much better performance. The Lotus 72 defined racing the first half of the 1970s. The 72 was the first wedge-shaped car to produce downforce because of its shape, and used side pods to house the radiators, which had to be moved from the front of the car. The 72 enjoyed unparalleled success with 20 Grand Prix wins, 2 Drivers' Championships for Jochen Rindt and Emerson Fittipaldi, and 3 Constructors' Championship titles in its career. Produced for more than 25 years, the Lotus Esprit evolved from a 4-cylinder 160 horsepower engine to a 265 horsepower turbocharged engine and finally into a 350 horsepower twin-turbo V8 powered supercar. Some have called the Lotus 79 and its predecessor the 78 the most significant vehicle design in racing history. The cars introduced ground effects, where the airflow under the car is used to create a partial vacuum, to literally suck the car towards the pavement. With this innovation, Team Lotus was untouchable in late 1977 and throughout 1978. It delivered Mario Andretti his first Formula One Drivers' Championship in 1978 and the 7th Constructors' title for Lotus. The first generation Elise was introduced in Europe in 1995, as Lotus made a move to get back to its heritage to manufacture a light sports car with a pure Lotus driving experience. The Elise S1 was replaced in 2001 with the Elise S2, with a new and exciting body and updated chassis. Introduced to the United States in July of 2004, the Elise, with its Toyota-powered engine and ultralight design, is an instant success. In the first full year, more Lotus Elises are sold in the United States than any other model in company history. Combining the essence of the Elise with advanced aerodynamic technology, Lotus develops the Exige, the ultimate driver's car for the road and track. Powered by the same engine that powers the Elise, the Exige produces enhanced grip using its front splitter, rear wing and underbody diffuser, which work together to mold the airflow around the car and create nearly 100 pounds of balanced downforce at high speeds.
Leading the US drifting revolution is Kiwi Rhys Millen, driving the factory-backed Pontiac GTO. Series V8 was given some exclusive behind-the-scenes time with Rhys and his crew, and we joined him and some of Formula D's best drift teams for a shakedown test day.
I'm Rhys Millen. We're out here today in Fontana, California, California Speedway, tyre testing and setup testing on the Pontiac GTO.
Rhys is the only driver in the US Series that has been able to give the Japanese D1 drivers a serious run for their money and has finished in the top 5 twice in competition against the world's best.
Very happy. Crazy, crazy. The speed that the D1 drivers bring to an event is incredible, and it was mind-blowing to run against them in February, and at the end of it, very happy to finish 5th, although I think I got cheated by Kazama earlier.
The factory-backed Pontiac GTO, or Monaro as we know it here in Australia, really stands out amongst the JDM machines.
On this particular car, we've done a lot of modifications to the steering. The factory model has about 42 to 44 degrees of steering lock in the front, and the overall weight is about 3,750 pounds. We've reduced the race weight to 2680, and the front steering is about 65 to 68 degrees of lock. We also put into the steering a multiplier. It means that my inputs through the steering wheel are increased 1.5 times at the rack. So it quickens up the steering and enables this car as a big car to hit big angles and rotate through the transitions really snappy. The judges are looking for speed and increased speed through the snap on the transition. So for a big car with the longest wheelbase in competition here in the US, we're pulling off some pretty silly angles and snappy transitions, which the judges love.
The LS1 V8 runs approximately 500 horsepower with some reasonably minor mods, but it's the torque that Rhys enjoys when pushing the GTO sideways.
Drifting has a unique setup in the chassis. A lot of people think, oh, you're sliding sideways, you got a big sway bar on there or stiff springs and you're just slipping around like you would be on the ice. It's the complete opposite. You're trying to generate as much forward grip through the slide and through the corner as possible, or else your component, when you're tandem battling, is going to drive away from you. We've worked a lot on the suspension, especially in the rear, to try to get that balance through the corners and out of the corner. I think right now, with the new location that we have of the new spring, from what we thought was a great setup to where we're at now is a difference of 500 pounds in spring rate. Also in shock absorbers, we did a lot of trial and error in there as well. We run a lot of rebound control in the rear to sit the car back down to get the grip through the transition and through the corners. Over and above that, on chassis setup is the braking system. Again, that's where we kind of implemented some new techniques and new styles. We've gone to a very lightweight caliper. You're essentially scrubbing the speed off through the corner using the sideways shoulder of the tyre to slow the momentum of the car down. brakes are used very minimal. We run a fluted 1/4-inch lightweight little caliper in the front, and in my car I've chosen a 2-caliper setup in the rear using a hydraulic handbrake, which is essentially a setup that we used to use in the rally car. You're very comfortable behind the wheel, you're not fighting anything, you essentially can feel what the car is doing underneath you and essentially just drive the course, not fight the car.
It's hard not to appreciate the beauty of an AC Cobra. The timeless design sparks fire in almost every car enthusiast, regardless of their heritage, and this is probably the reason for the Cobra being one of the most replicated designs in the world. Ian Pretty was first bitten by the Cobra in 1998 when he built the classic revival Ian Denner bodied replica, and for the first 2 years it ran with a box Ford Mustang engine from the States. 2 years later, Ian decided the road wasn't enough and he teamed up with Mick Mitchell from Corsa Motorsport to build one hell of a race car.
The car was very, very standard. It was built originally just as a cruiser with no intentions of a race car in mind. So in turn, all aspects of the car had to be heavily modified to make it the race car it is.
The main modification was a new motor built from the ground up by Chris Gibson.
I'd rate him as probably the best engine builder in Sydney. He's been doing it for a long time. Heavily involved in the motorsport game for over 30 years. Horsepower-wise, this thing's making around about 580 horsepower, about 490 foot-pounds.
With that sort of power, Ian is running 355mm Harrop rotors with Porsche Brembo caliper brakes on the front and 330mm rotors with the Porsche calipers on the rear. Suspension-wise, the Jag front end and Holden IRS rear are modified in their pickup points to improve alignment and roll centres. Exhaust is the lovely side pipe built by Corsa to fit the car.
The car's basically running against Porsches, Ferraris, the odd Ferrari that you see out there, the Cobras. There's different categories due to the power and controlled by power to weight. There's A, B, C and D. A being the category that this car runs in.
Down the straight at Oran Park, the car was seriously fast. At our track test, we wanted to see just how fast the Cobra was, so we asked Mal Rose from the V8 Supercar Experience along to do battle with the Snake in his EL Ford.
My name's Mal Rose and I'm the owner of the EL V8 Supercar Ford, and we do the hot laps here at Oran Park Raceway.
The EL is a real deal V8 supercar and not just some high-spec replica. It was built in 1998 by Tony Longhurst and raced at Bathurst by former World Formula One champ Alan Jones. It certainly has some serious history. Mal himself is a 2-time national champ and Bathurst Privateer Cup winner, so the car was definitely going to lay down some fast laps. Although Mal wasn't on fresh tyres, he was able to put down a very fast 45.6 at Oran's South Circuit, which, all things considered, he was pretty pleased with.
I know that in the past that a V8 supercar on this South Circuit can do about a 42-second lap. I was comfortable if it was in the 44s. Because it's in the 45s this morning, you know, it was a bit of a cold track, cold tyres, you know, every race car driver's excuse. And but look, I'm wrapped with the car as it is. Obviously, I've got a lot of business here. There's a lot of people coming out over the next couple of months to have the ride of their life with me. So certainly, I'm looking forward to keeping it in one piece.
Owner Ian Pretty was next out, and he wasn't there to bake cakes, immediately pushing hard. It was Ian's first time on the South Circuit at Oran, and with cold tyres and a touch of over-enthusiasm, the Snake struck.
As you come around this turn here, it's really quite tight, and I think you've got to straighten the car out before you give it some in the entrance to the S's there. The entrance was all wrong and it just got worse from there on in.
A little disappointed, Ian was straight back out and put down a very respectable 46.5, less than a second off the V8 supercar. Our pro driver, Stone Brothers Racing's Warren Luff couldn't wait to get his fangs into the Cobra, but first Mick took him through the car.
The start button is just here, right? The pedals are a bit awkward. They're sort of like around the corner a bit. You know?
Yeah.
You'll get a handle on it. You know, just go out there and have a bit of a feel.
Any car with this sort of performance is going to be difficult to drive, and Warren found the Snake fast and a little bitey.
Well, this car's certainly got a lot of power. It really, you get on the throttle, you've got to be trying to be so smooth. Handling-wise, it's a bit of a handful. Being so short, it really wants to pivot around the rear end of the car. Brakes are actually surprisingly quite good.
Warren got his head around the Cobra very quickly, laying down 2 fast laps, both at 44.7. With the Cobra nearly a second faster than the EL supercar, it was time to do battle. Mal is out fast and pushing hard, looking very quick into turn 1, but Warren and the Cobra aren't letting him get away. The V8 supercar has a gap, and Woz is playing catch-up. Mal is really trying here. Very quick out of the corners, but Warren is there at every straight with the superior power to weight ratio of the Cobra, attacking at every chance. The Cobra has no problem swallowing the EL down the straight, and Woz has a little way for Mal as he's passed, but can he stay in front? It's neck and neck, and neither driver is prepared to back off going into turn 1. Warren has the inside line and nudges in front, forcing Mal to back up as he slides out at turn 2. Warren is away with a little gap, and Mal has difficulty passing down on power in the EL. It's very close into the last turn, but coming onto the straight, the Cobra has it and takes the battle. A tight contest with the Cobra the victor, but both cars are very close on times, and Warren took us through how each car gets its speed.
So you can really notice the difference between the two cars and just the driving style required to get the most out of them. Whilst the Cobra is very much a point and squirt kind of car, you can see that the handling of the V8 supercar really comes into its own in the corners. You can see Mal's got much better lateral grip and can really make better use of the corner speed to get out of the corners. But once you can get up to speed in this car and actually get some traction, it really does start to sort of come into its own, and you can see that's where it's a lot stronger.
The handling is probably better on this the EL supercar than the Cobra, but the Cobra's definitely got bigger back tyres, and he can use the throttle more than I've actually had to ease out of the gas a bit.
The similarities between the cars in lap time is so close that it's really hard. So I was trying to when we get on the straight, try and get away from him and take off around the back section as best I could to try and build up a gap. But the cornering of the supercar is really what keeps it so close.
There is no doubt that this Cobra is fast, and smoking a very quick V8 supercar is testament to that. Sure, it may be a handful, but to some, that's what racing is. Ian Pretty has certainly given himself a serious but fun car to challenge himself with, and we were left impressed.
Back in Europe, Hakey had another special car for us.
We have a very rare 1961 220 SE Mercedes with a compressor.
There's no denying that the Euros build amazing cars, and this Merc is very special. This is Euro gangster style at its best, and with F1 driver Mika Salo along to check it out, we couldn't resist.
It's got a Chevy V8 under the bonnet with the Autoroto twin-screw compressor, and it has 480 horsepower and 760 Newton meters of torque.
Suitably impressed, Mika was straight in for a steer and wasn't shy about decorating the tarmac. This is fully pimpin', ya! And owner Matty will keep it real even though he's got a photo of Mika blunting his Merc. That's a wrap from Hakey.
Things were simpler in the 70s. The VAS statement hadn't been invented. Coffee still had caffeine in it, and nobody was trying to sell you something in a bottle you'd previously gotten from the kitchen tap. And if you drove a race car in this country back then, chances are it looked like one of these. They might seem a bit low-tech these days, but Aussie touring cars of the 70s inspired a whole generation of petrol heads, like me, to spend 8 hours on the couch every long weekend in October. The cars were fast, they were loud, and they were pretty hairy to drive. And these days, they're also super collectible. Chris, tell me about the cars we've got here today.
Rightio, David. Well, we've got the 1973 Australian Touring Car Championship winning GTHO Falcon. That was driven by Alan Moffat. It's way back over yonder there. It's a beautiful old thing. We've got the 1978 KB Camaro. It debuted in Australia in 1979.
And the Tirana?
Yep, beautiful little LJ GTR XU1 that's owned by the Tate family, proudly owned too and very well presented. It had some wicked stoushes with Moffat back in 73 for the Touring Car Championship, and then in 74 it finally came up trumps as part of the reason Holden got the 74 Touring Car Championship. It too is just a gorgeous example of a real good Aussie muscle car.
And people would have seen that car on television 100 times because it was P. Brock.
That's right, without a doubt. Yeah, it was the man behind the wheel that made the vehicle. It's, yeah, little straight six-cylinder, the whole thing engineered by Harry Firth, with Brock at the wheel when he was full of beans and bravado. The thing, it was just going to be a winner.
Peter, I'm just wondering, what were these cars like to drive, or to drive fast?
Well, there was a lot of limitations that you had to always consider, even in the heat of the moment when the sort of adrenaline was pumping and looking out the side at Alan Moffat going past and thinking, I'm going to beat him, you know. But you had to remember that you had a finite amount of tyre that you could use up. Brakes, you could wreck the brakes, although the XU1 was pretty good in that department. Engine-wise, I mean, you know, 6.8 was sort of it. You didn't want to go above that because harmonic balances weren't too happy and things like that. Gearbox synchro, you just had to change gears like a normal driver does, you know, in a normal car. You couldn't actually belt them through. They came with a dog system like a supercar.
Now, your family's heavily involved in historic Australian touring cars. Tell me a bit about the family business.
Oh, well, Bowden's own Premium Car Care, it's sort of one of those things where necessity stepped in, became the mother of all inventions. We were just a long way from happy with what we were using on our vehicles, and again, perhaps it was P. Brock who created it, because we got his 1979 Bathurst winning A9X with the original paint on it from that race, and we thought to ourselves, well, if we want that to remain by the time I'm pushing daisies, hopefully of natural causes, we better do something about it, because the products we were using at the time, mate, they just weren't up to scratch.
1970s touring car racing was based on standard production cars. You bought the thing from a dealer, bolted in a roll cage, and threw the number plates in the nearest skip. Then you went racing. Now, these are the real cars. They're not replicas, are they? How authentic are they?
very authentic, mate. There's something we pride ourselves upon, just niggly little things like period correct gauges, silly things like, let's say, the fuel injection setup on the Super Falcon there. We could use aftermarket fuel pumps on it that are such superior and, you know, work so much better than the old Triumph PI jiggers we've got on there. But we just don't go down that area, and a lot of people don't understand as to why we don't do that. But again, when these cars won their battles, that is when you have to have them sitting. It's all about period correctness and so on.
Hey, you want to talk authenticity? Well, if this car looks familiar, it's probably because you were watching Bathurst in 1982. And if you were, you'll also remember that big Rev Kev Bartlett had a spot of bother up towards the top of the mountain circuit and actually parked this car on its roof. Well, you see these scratches and chips on the window here? Well, that was damage actually done on that day as Bartlett slid along on his lid. And now, 24 years later, it's still part of this car. And that, my friends, is originality.
Now here's something you don't see every day. The Volga V12 Coupe is a genuine one-of-a-kind. The Volga factory in Russia never built a two-door, or in fact any engine other than a wheezy four-cylinder. Starting life as a four-door Volga Gaz-21, this coupe version began in a Moscow workshop called A-Level and was built from scratch over 17 months for a well-off Russian businessman. The 5.5-litre V12 M-Spec BMW engine was liberated from an 850 CSI. The interior is also mainly BMW. Even without a KGB driver, it's a sinister-looking vehicle.
There is no shortage of fans for Group A Commodores. From the Brocs to the Walkinshaws, there are still many great examples being driven by enthusiasts. It's always great to see real race cars restored to their original glory, and we were very happy to come across this VL Commodore, once punted by Wyn Percy and Neil Crompton. First Commodore designed and built by Tom Walkinshaw and was used for wind tunnel testing in England before being raced in the Australian Touring Car Championship.
Originally the car was in Amaroo Park in pieces, and we bought it off a chap called Mike Conway, and then once we realised what the car was and the history of the car, we went back to Larry Perkins to help us get all the components to put it back together in its original specification.
Norman has done an incredible restoration on the car. Everything, including the Group A motor, has been meticulously rebuilt to be race ready again, which is not an easy task.
You can't go down to Kmart or to Auto Pro and buy any parts to these cars. They've all got to be manufactured either through Ron Harrop or Larry Perkins or by some other engineering company. So it's quite an expensive exercise. I'm not allowed to say how much we spent. My wife might see this. I bought the car basically for my passion for motorsport. I love Holdens. I've got two VLs. This is not the only one that I've got. I've got a Brock Commodore as well. I bought this car to race because I'm a racer. When I drive this car, I'm king of the mountain.
And Norman isn't the only one, with many other owners enjoying this Group A Club Day at Bathurst. The VL still looks tough nearly 20 years after the radical design took to the streets and tracks of Australia. And whether street or race, it still tickles the hearts of many when in full flight. With action aplenty, the burnouts always draw a crowd, and where there's smoke, there's braze. was as tough and loud as ever, while Ben's car was running all new parts.
It's a whole new combo, so the car's running absolutely fine at the moment, so we're loving it.
The Ute is a purpose-built burnout machine that can smoke it up like no other. And that's what brings the fans.
Yeah, now they get to go home tonight just like I do, and they get to sit there and breathe in that smoke, and every time they cough, they get to cough a bit more smoke up, just like I do.